Ever wondered what would happen if the Scarlet Witch actually went all out? Today, we're diving into the moments where Wanda Maximoff was clearly holding back, situations where she could have ended the fight in seconds but chose not to. Trust me, the sheer power she's suppressing is absolutely mind-blowing. Let's start with her early days in Age of Ultron. Remember when she first joined the fight? She was mostly using her telekinesis to throw things around and her mind-altering hexes to mess with the Avengers' heads. These were powerful for sure and gave the team a serious run for their money. But compared to what we know she can do now, this was like a heavyweight champion only using their jab. She could have mentally dismantled the entire Ultron army, or even twisted Ultron's vibranium body into a pretzel. But back then, she was still figuring out her abilities and was fueled by grief and anger, not a full understanding of her power. She wasn't holding back on purpose, but her potential was so vast, she was barely scratching the surface. It was like she had a nuke, but was only using it as a paperweight. Fast forward to Captain America: Civil War. Her role here was more defensive. She was protecting her friends, containing threats like Crossbone's explosion, and providing support. During the airport battle, she was a major asset, taking down Vision, War Machine, and Spider-Man. But even then, you can see the restraint. She grounded Vision by manipulating his density, but she could have shut his synthezoid brain down completely. She dropped a bunch of cars on Iron Man, but she could have just peeled his suit off him like a can of tuna. Why didn't she? Because these were her friends, her teammates. She was fighting to disable, not to destroy. It was a conflict of loyalties, not a battle for survival. Her heart wasn't in it, and her power was leashed by her morality. She didn't want to hurt anyone permanently, so she held back big time. Then we get to Infinity War. This is where we start to see a real glimpse of her true potential, and it's terrifying. Think about that scene in Wakanda. With one hand, she's holding off a 5 Infinity Stone-wielding Thanos, even pushing him back, while with the other, she's simultaneously destroying the Mind Stone. Let that sink in. She was multitasking on a cosmic level. She was successfully fending off the most powerful being in the universe at that point. Thanos had to resort to using the full might of the stones just to overpower her defensive being. If she had been able to focus all her power just on Thanos, without having to worry about the stone, could she have stopped him right there and then? I think it's a very real possibility. She could have unraveled his molecules before he even knew what was happening. The fact that she could do both at once proves she was operating at a level far beyond most other heroes. And that brings us to Avengers Endgame. Oh boy, you took everything from me. That line still gives me chills. This is probably the most rage-fueled we've ever seen Wanda. And for a few glorious moments, she completely unleashes. She systematically dismantles Thanos, tearing off his armor, breaking his double-bladed sword, a weapon that broke Cap's shield. She had him on the ropes, terrified. He was forced to call for an airstrike on his own position, sacrificing his own troops just to get her off of him. This wasn't a fight. It was an execution. And even here, I'd argue she wasn't at her absolute peak. This was raw, untamed grief. Imagine if she had the cold, calculated focus she'd gained later. She might not have even needed to get close. She could have just willed him out of existence from a distance. The only reason Thanos survived that encounter was by cheating. Now let's talk about WandaVision. This is the ultimate example of Scarlet Witch not even trying in a weird way. She created an entire reality, whole town populated with sentient beings, complete with complex backstories and daily routines, all subconsciously. She wasn't actively trying to build a world. Her grief did it for her. This massive reality-warping feat was essentially a side effect of her sorrow. Throughout the series, she's learning about her power in real time. When she battles Agatha Harkness, another powerful witch, she's still holding back. She's worried about the people of Westview, trying to contain the Hex while fighting. In their final confrontation, Wanda plays dumb, letting Agatha absorb all her power, only to reveal she had been secretly placing runes around the hex the entire time, a trick she literally just learned. She outsmarted a witch with centuries of experience. She won not with brute force, but with intelligence, proving she's more than just a powerhouse. The entire Westview anomaly was just a fraction of what the true Scarlet Witch could do. Finally, we arrive at Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. Here, corrupted by the Darkhold, we see the darkest version of Wanda. This is the closest we've ever gotten to seeing her go all out. Dismantles the Illuminati of Earth 838 in the most brutal fashion imaginable, and dreamwalks across universes. She's a force of nature, an unstoppable horror movie monster. But here's the crazy part. I still don't think this was her full potential. Her goal wasn't just destruction. It was very specific. She wanted America Chavez's power to get to her kids. Everything she did was a means to that end. She wasn't trying to conquer the multiverse. She was just trying to cross it. If her goal had been pure conquest, could anything have stopped her? Black Bolt, who can level mountains with a whisper, was gone in an instant. She warped Reed Richards into spaghetti. It was a massacre. And she did it all with a chilling, almost casual efficiency. She was a woman on a mission, and her immense power was just the tool she used to get there. The true horror is imagining that same power with a goal of universal domination. One thing becomes clear. We've rarely, if ever, seen the Scarlet Witch truly let loose with no restraint and no specific limited goal. The moment she came close, she broke reality and terrified cosmic beings. It makes you wonder what would happen if she ever truly had to save everything by unleashing everything. The truth is, the Marvel Universe is lucky that for most of her history, the Scarlet Witch didn't even try. What do you guys think? What's the most powerful Scarlet Witch moment for you? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe,